Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to you. If you are joining from Asia, and a very good evening to you if you are joining from Australia and New Zealand. Thank you. I say you, Jules and Mike. And a very good morning to you if you are joining from Europe and just starting the day. So we have an exciting session planned. Today is not more on the thematic side, it's more on the thematic as well as on the practical side. As you know, every year after all the thematic sessions, we provide an opportunity for you to learn from EdTech designers and EdTech stakeholders so that you build a balanced perspective. So today is all about that. And also potentially you will find a tool that you can use in your ITP. So for our speaker's reference, ITP is innovative teaching practice. So in short, we refer to it as ITP. It's an action learning output that our teachers design as part of their capacity building. So we will introduce you to our speakers very briefly, and then we will have 3 presentations. And after every presentation, you will have 15 minutes Q&A. So the presentations are going to be very short because it's supposed to be a very brief exposure. If you have more questions, then there are tools and web links that you can check out to learn more. And the speakers, they will share their details as well in case you wish to reach out and learn more. And then, of course, you might have questions about the next step. So we will also stop for a generic question and answer. It can be related to the use of tool, but it can be other aspects of the program. But please, any questions that you have related to each tool, ask them right after each presentation. And then, of course, we have an exciting update today, and we cannot wait to share that with you at the end of this session. So first of all, very briefly, this is just to refresh your memories about the way our program is designed. Today's session is all about giving you an exposure to selected AIED tools. I mean, we cannot cover a lot of AIED tools, so we selected a list of tools that are tackling different aspects of teaching and learning. Why? So that, in today's scenario, you are learning from scholars and academics and in this program as well, but it's also important that we get the views from people who are designing and leading important initiatives for these tools. So the EdTech sector, right? So that we get to understand their views about why these tools are enhancing or improving teaching and learning. So they will share about the key features, the purpose of each tool, the value that this educational value that these tools brings in terms of improving teaching and learning. However, as usual, it's very important for us to remind you that as an educator, it is your responsibility to assess and critically look into these tools and decide whether you want to use them or not. You may use these tools, all of them or one of them. Or in addition to using these tools, you can use other AIED tools that you are most familiar with, or you think it fits your ITP goal best. Or you can not use these tools and use the tool that that's most suitable for your ITP. So we want to make that very sure that as an educator, it's your voice and it's your choice that's going to make your ITP innovative. So with that, please allow me to invite our first speaker, and some of you may know her, and some of you have wonderfully used the tool in last year's ITP as well, Ms. Yvonne So from an AIED tool called Noodle Factory, and they focus mainly on enhancing engagement in teaching and learning. So without delaying, let's give the floor to our first speaker. Ms. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so hello everybody. I'm Yvonne from Noodle Factory, and today I'd like to show you a tool that helps you to do what you already do best: teach, engage, and support your students, but at a scale that's never been possible before. So AI has transformed many industries, from healthcare to customer service, and of course, education. But one thing that we can all agree on is that AI cannot and should not replace teachers. However, what it can do is help us to scale the kind of teaching that we wish we had time for: more personalized, more interactive, and more accessible. Imagine being able to engage every student, answer every question, and adapt every lesson to their pace, all without needing more hours in that day. So that's what our AI platform enables, AI that supports teachers but doesn't replace them. So at its core, our platform is an AI assistant for educators, doing the heavy lifting so you can focus on what matters most. We help teachers to create interactive AI tutors in minutes using their own materials, automate knowledge checks, grading, feedback, and deliver personalized learning at scale. For students, it's like having a tutor in their pocket. So it's always available, adapting to their needs with multilingual support, voice or text-based interaction, and even talking avatars. So it's really human-centered AI that makes teaching and learning much more engaging, more personal, and more scalable. So let's jump into a quick demo. So here's our simple drag and drop interface. So there is no coding, no prompts. There's no need to actually even reformat your content. You simply upload your lesson notes, whether it's maybe your ebooks, your slides, your worksheets, even links to websites. And what the platform does after you upload this content is to start to build a friendly, smart tutor from your content. Now, besides uploading content, you have full access to our AI toolkit. And there are various tools in the toolkit, one of which is the ability for you to create different knowledge checks and exercises in just a few minutes with AI assistance. So for example, what you see here is me going to create an exercise that will enable my students to engage in a role play. I'm going to start naming the name of this exercise. It's a nutritionist at work exercise, and I'm going to select the role play option. I simply have to type in, what's the role I want my AI assistant to take on, which is an athlete seeking sports nutrition advice. And the learner role, so what role will my student practice in, which is as a sports nutritionist. And then get the AI to create the role play scenario by just pressing on the AI assist button. So what this does is it creates a role play that when my student comes in to practice their course that they're taking in
Hello there,
nutrition,
Dr. Jim.
it enables them to then engage in the role play. So now let me show you how one of our AI tutors interact with a student. So I'm going to come back here.
Hello there, Dr. Jim.
Well, hello there, Yvonne. It's absolutely delightful to meet you. Friendly, funny, and slightly over-caffeinated teaching assistant help you today.
Can you tell me about sports nutrition?
Of course, sports nutrition is a specialized field of nutrition that focuses on optimizing dietary intake to enhance athletic performance, recovery, and overall health. It involves understanding how different nutrients fuel.
So I'm going to stop there. So as a student, you notice how I can choose to interact using voice or text with an avatar guiding me. And notice how the AI adapts and engages naturally. What's key here is that everything comes directly from the source content. So you see here, I asked the question that asked it to explain to me sports nutrition in simple terms. I chose to click on the references link, and it shows me exactly where the source content comes from. So I can click on it to verify it as well. Now, if I want to be quizzed, I can ask the AI tutor to quiz me, and it does it in a conversational way, just like working with a human tutor. And here, he's asking me a question, and I was saying, I didn't understand one of the answers, like homeostasis. So I'm asking the AI tutor to explain that to me before I give my options. And then here I'm choosing to reply again. So I said that, okay, I think it's number 4, that's the answer. And the tutor would give me feedback and then carry on with the next example as well. But what if, for example, English isn't my first language? Well, that's not a problem either. So I can now ask the AI tutor to switch languages. And you'll see that in a minute where, let me just start a new session here. So I say, can we switch to French? So perhaps French is my first language. So here, immediately the AI tutor adapts to the language that I want. And of course, all this can be done using voice as well. And I'll say that, okay, now quiz me again, but this time in French. So you see that again, it immediately adapts and switches the same content, the same tutoring style, but this time in the language of my preference. Now let's move on to the role play I set up earlier. So now I can ask the AI tutor to begin a role play with me. And again, this was what was created by my teacher. So it shifts out of the tutor mode and now takes on a new role, in this case, an athlete, to simulate the real world scenario so I can practice and practice my skills to become a sports nutritionist. And I can engage with this AI tutor in this manner. And this time, again, I can still use voice or text. I'm using text to make it easier and faster. And it goes through the entire scenario. It just keeps carrying on and it adapts to what I'm saying. I ask about eating habits and, it's simulating the reply, telling me what it's doing. And it carries on. So I'll just fast forward it a little bit. So, I carry on with my simulation. So I'm kind of advising the pretend athlete as though I'm really a sports nutritionist at work. But what's important is that as the role play goes and as I end that role play, so I say, hey, okay, let's end it now. What it does is it doesn't stop there. It looks through all the responses and my interactions, and it starts to give me feedback according to the rubric that my teacher has set for me. So it gives me very detailed feedback about all the different skills that I'm supposed to have and supposed to gain by working on this role play scenario. So as a student, I get to apply what I've learned in a very safe, risk-free environment and to get this detailed feedback to help me improve as well. So as you can see, it's not just a chatbot, it's really a learning assistant that really meets students where they are. So you might be familiar with the 2 sigma problem, and this was discovered by educational researcher Benjamin Bloom. So he found that students who receive one-on-one tutoring perform 2 standard deviations better than those in traditional classrooms. And that's a massive improvement. But the problem is that one-on-one tutoring for every student isn't really feasible in real life. But this is where AI comes in. It gives us the ability to scale personalized tutoring in a way that's consistent, tireless, and available anytime a student needs help. Now, before I jump into actual case studies, I want to highlight some of the high impact ways that educators are already using our AI platform. So number 1, role play scenarios. So again, these are safe, simulated conversations where students can practice interviews, debates, or workplace interactions even. Great for building confidence in a real world setting. Essay grading. Teachers can generate consistent rubric-aligned feedback in minutes to give to the students, saving them time as well, while maintaining fairness as well. Multilingual support, so the AI tutor can switch languages, supporting over 100 languages to really support learners who are more comfortable engaging in their mother tongue, especially valuable in diverse classrooms. And of course, personalized tutoring. Each AI tutor is really built from your content. You can control how the AI tutor interacts with the students as well. So it teaches exactly the way you want it, tailored to your curriculum, style, and standards. So these use cases aren't just features of the platform. They are really ways that you can extend your reach, free up your time, and support students more meaningfully. So let's discuss real quickly evidence-based results in a more in-depth example with a real-world case. So one of our higher education partners, the Institute of Technical Education in Singapore, has undertaken extensive action research using generative AI as a tutor. So they have replicated Bloom's results over time, which are very promising. So for context, this is a typical class at ITE, which has around 40 students. So the student-teacher ratio is fairly large, it's 40:1. And over a course of 9 months, ITE conducted action research using a quasi-experimental approach to see how AI could impact student engagement and performance. So the platform directly collected engagement statistics as well as student performance, and this was measured through a combination of pre and post-formative assessments delivered via AI. And then these were compared with externally graded summative assessments using a control group to ensure rigor. On the educator side, there was also a part that was measured, which was on educator productivity. And this was evaluated through surveys at the end of the term, so providing feedback on areas that were both qualitative or difficult to measure within the platform itself. So the results, as you can see, have been significant, showing how AI can elevate both student outcomes and teacher productivity. So what truly sets us apart is our focus on simplicity and security. So these are the two core principles that drive everything we do. In fact, that's where the name comes from. Our platform is designed to be as simple and instant as making a cup of noodles. So educators, you don't need to be tech experts to use our platform. The process of building and deploying AI tutors is effortless, intuitive, and fast in minutes. So we made it so that the teachers can focus on what matters most, teaching and connecting with students without the burden of complex technology getting in the way. But at the same time, simplicity shouldn't come at the expense of security. So security and privacy are our cornerstone principles, and we take them very seriously. So with the increasing digitization of education, protecting student data and copyrighted content as well is essential. So our platform is built to safeguard your content and ensure that students' privacy is never compromised. Each institution, as you use the platform, it has its own protected instance, and data is never shared outside of your institution or organization. Because at Noodle Factory, so we really believe that advanced AI doesn't have to be complicated or risky. So if you're an educator who is passionate about reaching more students and personalizing learning without the tech headaches, please join our growing community of educators who are already transforming their classrooms with AI. You can get started for free today. Also on our website, you can explore a lot of our free AI in education courses and also connect with like-minded teachers in our Facebook community through the QR code that you see there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Now we invite our participants to ask questions. There has been some questions. I think there some people already asked in the chat. Before we kick this off, I would like to ask, because you talked a lot about, how the feature that you presented helps the students, right, both at an individual level and also, in a larger level as well. And from it, we can see that it's not just about enhancing engagement, it's also in a way promoting personalized learning, right? Could you particularly emphasize on the aspect of engagement and tell us a little bit more about how this tool is different than the others in terms of engaging students at an individual and also at a student-teacher level and then student-teacher, other students level?
So one of the things is that from the start, and we started this platform in 2018, so way before a lot of the other AI tools came into the market, that has always been the vision because we started out as educators. So one of the main things wasn't so much as a tool for educator, but really as a tool where we can actually scale ourselves. And that's something that has always been at the core that we've emphasized on, that how do we kind of almost create a clone of ourselves that is reliable and that we can control. So it's not meant to replace the teachers because that's, I think, still essential, but it's meant to really help the teachers to scale. And that's why you see also as we've evolved with time. So we started with, just a text-based interface. We started adding multimedia videos, and now we have interactive avatars as well. So it's not so much to, I think in a way we're trying to humanize that engagement even more. Obviously an avatar is never gonna replace it, but it's meant to help students to be able to visualize and feel a better connection with the AI tutor. And like I mentioned, it's not just about the content as well, where you can put in your content, but you can even control how your tutor interacts. Like, do you want it to be, more, just giving answers? Are you working with a group of younger students? So it can really adapt to how you want to engage as well. So you can really make it your own and, almost like hopefully that helper that is doing what you want it to do.
Thank you, Yvonne. Now I'm going to invite our participants who are asking questions in the chat box. Mike, you are first. You have a couple of questions. And after Mike, let me see who else is asking. Mirella and L'Oreal. And then we'll see if more questions come. Mike, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no worries. So thank you, Yvonne, for the presentation. So I'm just wondering, in terms of the model you're using, what are the privacy considerations? So, for example, if the students upload essay material, is it going to be used to train the model?
Yeah, though, and I saw you put in the chat as well, like a tool that you built, which is great. So what we do is we enable basically you to do this at scale. So for example, if you look at how we do it, typically an institution would kind of subscribe for all the different teachers, and the teachers have access to the platform. Everything is containerized, so each organization, has its own instance. If you're an individual teacher, you also have your own instance. It's never used to train any external model. We have been doing this since 2018, so we have our own AI algorithms, although we do also leverage OpenAI as one of the large language models, but that's run on an enterprise environment within Azure, so it's never used to retrain the large language model outside. Apart from that, actually, we're not tied to any one large language model, so we have cases where if the class in particular is maybe doing programming or mathematics, and there's a better performing LLM like Anthropic. So we have cases where we have different LLMs in place as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Mirella. Mirella had a question, and L'Oreal, and then we have a comment from, let me open my chat again. Michelle, if you could also share what you are trying to say. First, Mirella, L'Oreal, and then Michelle.
Okay, hello everyone. My first question is it free or paid, especially for teachers and students? Because in Europe, in public schools, we don't have a budget for paid program. So it's better to be free. And my second question is about Google Classroom, because we use Google Classroom. Is it suitable to be combined with it?
So yes, we have a free version that is you can sign up today for free. It enables you to use it by yourself, so not with other teachers, and you can put in different types of content. Basically, create a tutor, and up to 30 students can use it. And then there are upgrades if you want to have more students involved. So yes, there is a free version. Google Classroom, yes, that's something that we can integrate to. We also provide other LTI integrations if you're using things like Canvas, Blackboard, D2L. These are all integrations that are supported out of the box. So meaning that your students can access the AI tutor from within that existing learning environment that they're familiar with.
Thank you. L'Oreal?
Kia ora. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you for your
Hi.
presentation. I just had a quick question, well, actually two. You might have already started to answer one of them, which was when uploading source content, is there an optimal variety or word count, etc.? You kind of talked about having the support of large language models as well. So I wondered if that supports whatever source content you put up, or if it's not enough, for example.
Yeah, so it will, well, obviously the more detail you have, the better. So depending also on what you want the AI tutor to do. For example, we work with certain, especially like, let's say, more technical subjects where more detail is better because you don't know what the students are going to ask or what level of detail you need. However, it really depends. So whatever you want the students to know, or what, if let's say you imagine you're training an assistant, what you need them to know, that's probably the amount of information you need. When the information is uploaded, it will then start to be indexed. And then when a student asks a question, essentially what it does is it tries to find relevant excerpts from the different index material and provide that for the student. You can also control how detailed you want the answer to be. So whether you want to give it like a really long paragraph, or you want it just to be really succinct, or if you want to maybe not always provide the answer, but maybe try to use Socratic questioning to kind of reinforce concepts as well. So that can be all controlled.
Fantastic. Thank you. Just one more quick question, hopefully. When using the essay grading function, does it draw from not only the uploaded rubric, but can also draw from if you uploaded source content exemplars, for example?
Yes, it can. So
Great.
you can kind of link to references. And also maybe if you have an ideal answer, that might be something that you want to put in as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Yvonne.
Welcome.
Thank you, L'Oreal. Now, Michelle, would you like to emphasize on your comment?
Thank you. I suppose mine was just a bit of a compliment. So I teach science, and we would be really particular about language and building scientific literacy. So I thought it was really nice that you can kind of specify your source material to make sure that the students are getting kind of positive reinforcement around the learning that you'd actually like them to develop. So it was just a little bit of a compliment. I really like that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle. I think, Susanna, your question has been answered already, but if you feel like you still need more information, please feel free to further elaborate it. Susanna?
Yes, I was just wondering how different it is from, for example, creating your own GPT or creating your own jam, where you can actually define the descriptors so that it makes the student think about the learning process rather than shortcutting. Is there a feature that you can easily build into the product?
Yes, in short, yes. So we do have quite a lot of capability to kind of customize the different filters and even by different subjects and all that. And also the ability to link to, like, one of the features which I didn't get a chance to show was that it can also create or suggest learning outcomes from your material, and it can actually tutor the student based on the learning outcomes that you have set from the material.
Thank you. We have another question from Ava. Ava, would you like to take the floor? Ava? Ava Fong from Singapore. Oh, okay. She cannot speak, but so let me. So her question is about, has this been tried with English essay writing or literature essay writing at the secondary school level, and what level of success have users reported beyond grammar correction?
Yes, so in short, yes, it has been used in several secondary schools in Singapore as well for English language as well as literature. In terms of the levels of success, so yes, so one of it obviously can be the grammar and the language that the bot can be kind of customized to make sure that it keeps checking for that. But beyond that, if there is specific task that you want, inside the bot, there is different personas you can choose from. So there's still standard ones that you can choose, but there's also customized one that can be used for different subjects as well that we do for our different schools and teachers as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we don't have any other specific questions. So with that, thank you to our participants for actively asking questions. Please keep this up for our next speakers as well. And thank you so much, Miss Yvonne, for your time.
Thank you. I have put my email again in the chat. If anyone wants, I think if you want certain access to certain features that might not be available in the free version, just drop me a note and tell me you're from this session, and then we'll be happy to open that up for you as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Yvonne, Miss Yvonne.
Thanks.
So we will also share your email address in the slide, if that's okay with you, so that in case those who are not here, they can also have access to it. Okay, now it's time for our next presentation. So please allow me to quickly reshare my slide again to introduce our speaker. So for our next AI tool introduction, we have Inspera and Mr. Kim James Walgrave, who is the head of Asia region, will introduce the tool. And also we are very grateful that we had introduction to Inspera last year as well, and we saw positive, reaction towards the tool. This tool specifically focuses on assessment and evaluation. And it's one of the well-known tools that exist out there for assessment and evaluation. So let's hear more about how this tool can enhance teaching and learning from Mr. Kim James Walgrave. Kim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. I've been monitoring the chat, and I just want to comment and thank Michael for the enthusiasm. And it's so funny because I'm going to show you something. I just made a change to my slides, actually. And hygiene factor question. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah, I'm Kim. I'll keep it simple. I am the head of Asia, and normally I live and work in Malaysia, where our Asian headquarters are based. But right now, I am in a very rainy and very cold Stockholm in the north of Europe, where I'm from. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Inspira, and more importantly, how technology can enable pedagogy in digital assessment. And again, back to you there, Michael, in the comment. I didn't include this question in the original slides. So, exams, the culmination of learning or necessary evil? And I would like for you to be interactive. So thumbs up for one, clapping hands for two, in the reaction box, please. And I'll just give it 15 seconds. That's true, Michael, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. You're not giving me a break today, are you? All right, I'm going to call that 15 seconds. It looks like it's oh, there we go. First necessary evil. There we go. Okay, I'm going to say consensus is leaning towards culmination of learning. Thank you. Few more necessary evils. There we go. Starting to pick up now. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm sure you understand why I asked that question, even though I wasn't planning on including it, because it is quite a topic, isn't it now? Exams, which is a form of an assessment. What role does it play in the age of AI? And hopefully I'll be able to address that a little bit more, at least from the Inspira perspective, later in the presentation. Now, for those of you who don't know us, which I imagine is most of you, this is our mission. And instead of me just talking to you, I'll let you enjoy this on the slide. Some of these words are very big indeed, and in particular coming from someone who's studied business rather than pedagogy. But I can assure you that both of my parents are teachers, so hopefully I've learned something. Now, the one thing I want to read out is the vision, because this is what we want to do. This is why we exist. We want to advance fair, valuable, and reliable outcomes from education across the world. It's as simple as that. And in the day and age of AI, it's becoming more difficult by the minute, but it is also becoming easier. And that's a bit of a contradiction. And I'm sure you see the same in your day-to-day professions as teachers and education professionals. And in a way, I envy you. In another way, I don't. And you'll see more of it later. But this is us. And instead of me giving you figures, I'll just say, simply put, Inspira is, as a whole, one of, let's say, maybe the big 4 or 5 digital assessment vendors in the global space. And we are originally a Norwegian company, founded in 1999. We pivoted into digital assessment only in 2012. And in 2015, I joined a company that was at the time 12 people. Digital assessment in the Nordic countries had been around for quite some time, but mainly through the learning management systems. But with the increasing adoption of devices, both in K-12 and higher education, and a younger faculty, the need for sophisticated digital assessment tools became obvious. And that's when we changed the business. And today, all we do is support educators and learners on the digital assessment journey. So why us? What do we do? It's flexible assessment with integrity. It's secure, scalable, modular, and customizable assessment. If you want to work in the one ecosystem, another fancy word I have to say, really meaning an end-to-end type solution, we can offer you that. Meaning that all you need to run your assessments, except for your competence and your content, can be offered by Inspira. But more importantly, from your perspective, it's a collaborative partnership, a community of assessment specialists such as yourselves, working with us on our roadmap, making our solution as great as it can be. Some of these logos you will recognize, some of them you might not, and that's completely normal, not only because of the slightly poor resolution on the image itself, but also because they truly are from everywhere across the world. Most of these are higher education institutions, as you can see, but we also work with the government education and standardized testing regimes around the world and selected K-12 school districts, municipalities, or private education providers. And the forms of assessments that we offer to support are ranging from diagnostic to formative to summative, you name it, remote, on-site, a variety of formats with various levels of integrity. We have 3 core products, 2 of which are AI focused. The first one, which is where we use the least AI, that will change, and I'll speak a little bit more about that soon, is Inspira Assessment. And that's the home of the teacher or the academic and the school administrator. This is where we author our items, we create our exams or assessments, we design them, which is the actual look and feel. We deliver them to the students, we monitor them during the progress of the assessments, we mark and we give feedback. Now, naturally, as I said, this is where we have the most potential to leverage AI. And what are we going to do? I'm sure you've already figured it out, but we're implementing a state-of-the-art AI authoring engine, which will help you build out a repository of items and questions that you can deliver to your students and quality assure as you go. Not only will that save you time, but it will also allow you to build adaptive testing in a significantly less manual way than we are doing today. It will also come into the design, of course. We will help you design the assessments, making sure that they're equitable and accessible with the help of AI. The delivery phase will not be particularly helped by AI, but the marking and feedback certainly will. I really love your presentation, Yvonne. I know we met a couple of times, so I listened before, and it was as good as always. And one of the things you highlighted was that the AI will never replace the human teacher. And in particular, not when it comes to the marking and feedback process. What we want to do here is help you create a virtual assistant. Someone I know who's a lot smarter than I am once said, I don't want my AI to cook my meal. I want my AI to do my dishes. That could vary from person to person, but I hope the sentiment come across right. The marking and feedback process is integral in the journey of learning. And if you can get help to take care of the dishes and then focus on the cooking and the marking and feedback process, we think that we'll be able to make your life and the life of your students significantly more easy. Proctoring, part of the necessary evil of exams or assessments, I'd say. because there needs to be some sort of integrity practice in place for you to be able to guarantee that the right person is taking the assessment and that they're doing the right thing when they're taking the assessment. We use machine learning and AI enabled record and review proctoring in our assessment scope. And that helps you rely on the fact that not just another pair of eyes, but a pair of very well-equipped eyes with the best possible glasses will give you an advanced reading of the assessment in play. If you review this post-submission rather than live, in particular for remote assessments, you will then see and understand the power that this brings to you. Because again, it allows for the AI to do the dishes for you. But when it comes down to the cooking, which in this case represents the academic misconduct decisions, that will still be in your hand and no one else's. The AI will be your assistant, and you will make the decision because you are the only professional capable of doing so for your students and for your institution. Last but not least, we have Inspira Originality. This is quite a discussion. I'm seeing a few messages coming across, or at least the notifications of them. And I'm sure some of them will be about similarity checking and checking or predicting whether content has been generated by AI. And I guess this is the elephant in the room, right? So when it comes to similarity checking, in particular for essay submissions in assessment, it's fairly easy to run a standardized similarity check. And there are a number of providers out there that will offer you high-level solutions that will give you an outcome that is fairly reliable. Now, you still need to be there to make that distinction, to use your professional capacity and your expertise to support the outcome of the solution. It is not the same when it comes to predicting whether content has been generated by AI. And you see the gravity of that sentence with the long pause. If you use the traditional checkers or predicting solutions in the market to check whether something has been generated by AI, and you check towards a large language model that is, let's say, a year old or a version that's a year old, yes, you will have a level of certainty or confidence that the outcome from the solution is fairly reliable, but it is not enough. If you're doing the same exercise on the latest version of any modern LLM, it is very unlikely that there will be enough reliability in the report generated by the checker for you to have solid grounds to stand on. And then you could say, well, that doesn't sound very good, does it? Because the large language models, they will only continue to develop. They will become faster and better. That is inevitable. Yes, it is. So for us, checking for similarity and checking for AI-generated content is only a very small part of the academic integrity journey. To go back to the orange wheel in Inspira assessment, that's actually where the real academic integrity lies. It's in how you author and how you design your assessments. The question types you use, the stimuli that you allow, and how you engage the students to be honest about their AI use rather than to hide it. Inspira assessment, as I said, is made up of the 4 main modules. And I just want to reiterate this now. We will include AI in authoring for questions and assessments and design within the next 6 months. Why we haven't done it sooner is because we want to develop our own. We don't want to take an off-the-shelf product, but rather we want to build the best of breed. And as a few of you may know, and most of you don't, one of the investors in Inspira long-term is Cambridge University Press. And we deliver the infrastructure for all of the IELTS and CEQs online. And the same AI authoring solution we will be implementing there is the one that we will implement in the standardized product. And hopefully we'll be able to show you that in the near future. As I said, Inspira Proctoring works with an AI-enabled perspective. And again, that's important. We will not put the decision regarding what constitutes academic misconduct in the hands of AI only. Rather, it will help you make that decision and give you the data you need to make that decision comfortably. And in Inspira Originality, last but not least, we will always be there to help you check for similarity. And we will give you a very good track. It will help you predict AI-generated content, how much, where the sources are from. But in the end, the question you need to ask yourselves, is that the way we want to move forward? Or is it only a complement? I and Inspira would argue that we need to embrace the use of AI for students, because in the future, their workplaces, they will embrace it for sure. And our job, or your job as educators and our job as partners, is to help prepare these students for what comes after education. And the way to do that, yeah, it's pretty clear. It's to show them what that world looks like, but with rules, with follow-up, with routines. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was it for me. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Hopefully you've enjoyed the presentation. If you haven't, then Jyoti is not going to invite me back next year. It'll be very unfortunate. I'm aiming for 3 in a row. And I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. And we are hoping not just 3, more in the future to work with Inspira and collaborate with you as well. So hopefully our participants have a list of very good questions for you to answer. I can already see that in the chat box they are asking questions. But before we kick this off, could you tell us, because from the scale you can see that Inspira is quite big in terms of outreach as well. Our teachers are designing innovative teaching practices as part of their capacity building process, where they are trying to achieve something that's innovative in terms of pedagogy and unique and also collaborative, and help them improve their students' learning outcome in a way that goes beyond the regular classroom, goals, right? What would you advise in terms of using Inspira? Let's say if they choose to use Inspira in their ITP, to use it innovatively, to use it creatively.
If I could give one piece of advice to this group in terms of how to use digital education tools creatively, which I'm not even sure if I'm equipped to do because I'm not a teacher, but I would say go beyond multiple choice. Okay. There are many different types of questions available in Inspira and other solutions like Inspira. If they're used creatively, in particular in conjunction with AI and maybe self-declaration of what has been used in terms of AI, I think the variety of assessment formats will give you a creative opportunity that you haven't seen before.
Very good advice. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Let's see. I see that a lot of comments and questions from Mike. Would you like to take the floor again? And please, our Asian participants, you are very quiet today. We have one from Bangladesh. So after Mike, please, Muzammil, take the floor. And then hopefully more questions will be coming in.
Yeah, hi, Kim. I guess my point is basically, what was I making? So it seems to me your platform's essentially maintaining the status quo, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about possibly redefining assessment in the age of AI. So I'm thinking maybe AI-generated responses and how students can use AI literacy to actually critique those responses and find bigger and better solutions.
I knew you were a smart guy when I saw the first comment, almost too smart for me to answer that question, but let me try. First and foremost, yes, any platform that promotes summative assessment in the way that Inspira does because it does in a way, right? Maintains the status quo. The question is how much you maintain and how much you protect it. The status quo is important. That's why I had the first exercise, because we're not going to get away from the fact that even if you don't like exams or assessments, they're still going to be there. The question is, rightly put, what do they look like? What we want to do to be able to redefine that is to open up for more flexibility in the platform, meaning that the educators will be able to build their own question types, set up their own workflows, and offering various levels of integrity on individual exams or to individual persons, students in the class in the future, so that the learning journey can be adapted. This is where the partnership comes in. If you remember the very right of the first slide, I think it came out on the right side for you. Most people that work in our engineering department have some sort of pedagogical background, believe it or not. And all the people that work in our professional services background have an education background. Many of them are qualified teachers, former. And what we want to do is build that community so that we can learn from the actual users, you, your peers. The age of AI and what we can do with it, at least internally in the tool, is still fairly young. So we'll need a little bit more time. I think the idea we have is not to continue to protect the status quo, but rather help the status quo keep the position that it deserves and needs for now. And then when we have something better, replace it quickly. That's also why, Michael, we're not just implementing ChatGTP for generation of items, but rather building something for our own.
Thank you. I think since we are talking about assessment, I think following this conversation, Susanna, your questions seem relevant. So could you please take the floor, and then Muzammal, please you prepare.
Yes, so I guess it goes in line with what Kim just said. Because we're developing ITPs, I see an opportunity for innovation here. And yes, Inspira at the moment is maintaining the status quo. However, I do think that the way we assess, and I know Michael mentioned that as well, and it doesn't have to be an individual endeavor. It can be, looking at human competencies like adaptability, problem solving, and that could be through inquiry-based learning and collaboration. So I guess that in the context of this program, I feel that this is a great opportunity for innovation to rethink the way we assess and the purpose of assessment.
It's a great comment. And I'm sure you've all seen it. I don't know who the originator is, but you know the photo, right? Or the drawing, rather, with the three animals and the tree, right? That's the problem. And it hasn't really changed much in the last 150 years, has it? So this is like the first really solid opportunity that we have. And again, I can't talk for all cultures, right? Because the level of adoption and the rate of adoption and the speed of it will differ. But I think looking at least from a sort of Asian perspective now, even though I am not Asian, but live and work there, I think it also needs to be taken into consideration that there are external stakeholders that needs to be pleased, right? And let me see who wrote that. I think, yeah, it was you, Susanna. It is a tricky one, in particular when it comes to formal assessments. There are other stakeholders and boards and professional standards, and parents also, by the way, guardians. So we need to find sort of like that golden middle ground. But what we've seen so far anyway is the scare of AI, which I think you pointed out, Michael, catching students using it. I think that sentiment is starting to go away very quickly, right? Again, maybe it's just because of the harsh reality of what education is, which is preparation for something else. none of the students or learners we're working with today will come out into an environment where they are forbidden to use AI in the workplace. And hence, the educational journey needs to reflect that. And I think that's a positive driving force for us embracing this change quickly, with less of a objectionary type setup from governments, from assessment boards, and certainly from parents, even in conservative education regions like Asia.
Thank you. For next question, Muzammil, please take the floor. Are you here? Okay. Let me read his. Oh, okay. He's on the way somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So Muzammil's question is about how can Inspira be effectively integrated into a blended or flipped classroom model to support formative assessment and student engagement?
Flipped classroom model is probably not an applicable type environment for this type of assessment. I would say that the easiest way to use Inspira for formative assessment is by utilizing functionalities such as multiple attempts or assessment paths, where you build out the workflow of the assessment according to the learning outcome and the objectives, and then allow for the functionality to provide opportunities again to do multiple attempts with given feedback on each attempt, showing and displaying student progress, not only to you, but also, of course, to the student, and then allowing them to retake. With assessment paths, setting up what we call a parent test with relevant child tests connected to it, where we give feedback on each individual assessment, but also on the journey as a whole. And there are no restrictions there. It could be that it is a classical MCQ, but combined with an oral question type or a project. But in a sort of blended or flipped classroom model, I think we are at the wrong end of the teaching and learning scale there. The assessment usually comes in the middle or at the very end, not so much in maybe the sort of early stages of the learning journey. You could argue that it should come earlier, that you use assessment as learning. Assessment as learning and assessment for learning are different things, right? But you are the experts on how to do that, not me. What we can do is provide you with the technology that enables that pedagogy.
Thank you, Kim. I really want to encourage our European participants because so far a lot of questions on assessment have been from Asia. So please, anyone from Europe would like to take the floor?
Cyprus here, Portugal,
Yes,
Slovenia,
yes.
Greece.
I think yes, please.
Lithuania.
Ireland,
It's
yes.
Ireland. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Nim.
I suppose in Ireland, we are starting a new senior cycle reform, and there's a new assessments associated with that so it's for leaving certificate, it's for the stage before they go into college. And the projects are going to be worth 40% of their overall score. There is huge controversy over it, and the unions are involved and everything because of the fear of AI, and and they've put a lot back onto the teachers that how they, like you were saying there, that how there can be evidence of progression, how, I suppose, how would this do you have any idea how this might work when there's already sort of strict curricular rules that are not in the power of the teacher, but put onto us by the department? How could it work with sort of state projects or department project education projects that they have to do? Have you any idea how we could, like, say, if a student has to do a project and it's going to be 40% of the final some research, like how could we use the AI process that you are suggesting there in those kind of parameters?
You're caught between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? It's
Yeah.
quite difficult. I'm gonna say something now, and I guess the company's gonna have to stand behind this, and say that it's reasonable. But frankly, and also knowing this process, by the way, I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Neve McNally.
Neve.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing this process, Neve. I just think that it won't work.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be fully secure and summative. I don't necessarily think there's the technology available today in Ireland for any change. Now the leave insert, I guess you've got the same issue. It's not regulated the same way in the UK, I think. But in a small country like Ireland, I think there's not enough investment to bring any sort of level of advanced technology into play. At least not now. Maybe it will change, but as of now, I think you're up between a rock and a hard place. And sorry to say, but you're probably just going to have to deal with it. I wish very much that you get more support.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a comment from Maria. Maria, would you like to take the floor?
Hello, good morning.
Or
Thank you. I'm a
name.
bit busy because I'm at school and trying to listen. And okay. So the thing is, in Portugal, it's a bit difficult because we have no guidelines, we have no recommendations. And for me, being in this training is very important because I'm learning and trying to share as well. The focus here, the discussion among teachers is always about what Michael said here somewhere. It's about cheating. That's the
Yeah.
worry among teachers, is trying to prevent students to cheat, to use AI tools to do the work, and which is a problem because instead, this is what you have been saying here. It's about how we can use it in order to improve collaboration, to improve communication, and not to use it among the students to replace their effort in learning. And it also has to do with what we do in assessment. What do we want to assess actually?
Yeah.
Is it only knowledge that can be provided by ChatGPT, or in the past it would be just to go to Google the answers, or to get a tutor to give us the answers. So this is the problem we have in Portugal. It's still very, very fresh. And of course, there's a lot of efforts being done by the government by providing training, but it's still very green because it's always about, now it's been about, okay, ethics and so forth, but we know nothing about the technologies you've been presenting here. It's completely new, so we have to test
Yeah.
and to hear what you're saying. That's why I'm not taking part in the discussion, because I don't know much how these platforms work. So I only know, the small tools we use to make things. Thank you very
I
much,
think
Kim. Okay.
the problem statement that you've started your comment with is that's where the issue lies. Okay. So it's very clear that this is a reality. Let's not pretend it isn't. And if you don't have clear guidelines or recommendations in place that are quality assured by relevant people, who they are, it's a different question. Okay. Then that's the problem. And now I encourage the conversation among teachers. I think that's a very, very important forum and where the learning happens. But if there's no guideline or recommendation or regulatory routine, that's going to be problematic, because that certainly stimulates inequality. School from school, teacher to teacher, that's simply not good. And I hope I actually know what's happening in Portugal. So I think there are a few things coming along in terms of digitization in Portugal now that were delayed. And it won't be long, I think, before you see that there are guidelines. And not just around ethics, but actually about concrete practice in schools. So obrigado for that. Now, Michelle, yes, it is useful, and I want to say that again. It's not that it's impossible to detect that someone's used AI for generating text, but it's not reliable enough. And the number of false positives are unfortunately quite high. But it's also, is it the right thing to do? For me, But again, I want to highlight, I am not a teacher. I'm not a qualified teacher. But for me, it is simply going the wrong way. Everyone will be using AI. And the question is, do we want to assess relevancy? Do we want to assess recall? I have 3 kids myself, 9, 7, 4. They're all in different schools, in different ranges. Their school is an American one, or the school system rather is an American one. They're looking at recall as their number 1 reference. I was born in 1986. Recall was the main reference back then. Some of you were probably born earlier than that, and recall was the main reference then too. I think we can do better. I think we can do better than assess recall today, and we should.
I think with that, we are, I think, at the end of introduction to Nispera. Thank you so much, Kim, for taking time from your busy schedule and also to share about the tool and also respond to these philosophical as well as critical questions by our participants. And hopefully, and we really appreciate that you highlighted again and again, you are not a teacher, because it's very important for our teachers to understand your perspectives from an EdTech point of view, from someone coming from EdTech as a representative of that sector, not as a teacher. So thank you for that. And we hope to have you again next year to introduce Inespera to new group of participants. And with that, we will keep you posted about our participants and, you know, if how many of them are using Inespera and if they have any questions for you as well. Thank you and have a lovely day in Sweden. And we will move
Thank
on
you,
with our...
guys. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Kim. Okay, now it's my pleasure to invite our next speakers. Hopefully everyone can see my slides again. Yes, I see nodding. Thank you. So we have an EdTech platform called 3 Dots Education. So they are trying to connect the dots in terms of personalized learning. So this is speakers, Miss Aniela Gulian-Meyer. My apologies for if I'm pronouncing it's not in the right way. Apologies for that. So Miss Aniel Gulian-Meyer, as well as Mr. Sofian Ben Said. They are here representing 3 Dots Education. They are co-founder. They funded this together with an aim to support educators and learners, have more resources and ideas for advancing personalized learning. So let's hear it from them, how 3 Dots Education is supporting teachers and learners in terms of promoting this. Ms. Aniela Gulian-Meyer and Mr. Sofian Ben Said, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yuki. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. Sofian,
hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. So thanks for inviting us, because I think our approach will be quite different, and maybe it will also give you a better overview of what can be done through AI and education. Just maybe a quick word from where we started 3 Dots Education. Anna and I, we met in Ethiopia. So myself, I used to be head of teacher in a school over there, and then I was running some program in education throughout the country. And one big problem we were facing at the time, it was right before the COVID, was accessing users, students, in a country where there is not a lot of computers. The ratio is very low, and most students are using basically messaging apps and social networks to communicate, to buy, and more to learn. So the idea was to use these different vectors, basically messaging apps, to turn them into a channel for learning opportunities. Let me share my. Do you see my screen now? Yeah. Cool. So as you know, like Actually, at Three Dots, the idea is to not only to develop some AI tutors connected to listening apps, but actually it is to create a model of teaching and learning where actually listening apps becomes a virtual classroom. We have basically three different goals. The first, of course, is accessibility. So it was made for that at the beginning. So because it's mobile first, and also because it's we are evolving in a familiar environment, and we know how much it's complicated also to onboard students on a new app, on a new LMS, etc., etc. And we're just offering this within the messaging app could be just like as instant as scanning a QR code and starting the lesson. And third was about like, of course, accessibility. But more and more when we started to work with NGOs in low-tech environments, we had like many institutions. And in Asia, for instance, we are working, launching pilots with the National University of Singapore, working in Hong Kong in different language cultural centers, etc. in Australia as well. The idea was like actually they were coming to us like, well, you are not just solving accessibility, you're also pushing for more engagement because actually you are on these channels here. So the second thing is about also tracking, because beside this AI tutor, we have a platform connected that actually allows you to track your students. I will show you exactly how it is. And the third one is pedagogy, because we spend actually all our day to think like actually how to leverage Gen AI, vision models, etc., to make it pedagogically sound. So how does it work concretely? So in every chatbot, I give you an example. I would try to make your live demo right after. In every chatbot, actually, we have three components, and that's how we say we are turning this listening app into a virtual classroom. The first one are chat-based courses. So take it as basically your manual, your curriculum, and the bot will not only just answer questions, but will actually deliver lessons. So these lessons are human designed, and actually the assessment is done by LLMs. So basically, it allows you for students, it allows them to have free speech when they're answering a question. It's not just about click A, B, or C, but actually you can have your own question or response to that exercise. The second AI tool. So this we design it according to the topic, etc. It can be generating role plays, of course, a free discussion with a bot, and also like correct me, help me for my exams, etc., etc. And the third one, it's a teacher assignment. And between the bot and the platform, you have like pedagogical data and cohort analytics that are shared with the teacher. On the other side, as you can see here, like you can see her initial level. This is for French language learning, for instance, and what module she's been doing, etc., etc. And on the other side, actually, we added another component to this platform, which is AI Studio, that allows teachers actually to create their own role play, their own exercise, etc., to assign it to their student on their messaging app. So that's how we try to create a right balance between the messaging app, students, and teachers. We saw like many times like teacher were pushed, for instance, to use GPT or bring your student to GPT and tell them to write this prompt, etc. But you don't have a real feedback on what they're actually doing with this GPT. So once you assign this homework, then you will have, if users accept, of course, you will have like the conversation history on the platform and see exactly what they've been doing with the bot, and so it will help you to have better understanding of their level, for instance, as you can see here. So I've just like drafted a simple one, English for tourism, formulate question in clear structured way, MCQ, level A2, language restriction, for instance, would be Swahili, which is quite spoken in East Africa, but can be something else. And then the bot will just like, all right, your teacher gave me a mission to help you. The conversation will be shared with your teacher to better support you. If you accept, then you can start. Otherwise, you can refuse, of course. So let me share with you, because usually what we do is it's better to have a live demo. I will share my phone. I will show you one product that we have designed for learning French as a foreign language. Do you see my phone now? Yeah? No?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Wonderful. So yeah, wonderful. So it can be so on Messenger and WhatsApp, for instance. I will show you first on Messenger because this is exactly how we design this bot. So you have two ways of learning. First, pick a course, so it's more like curriculum based. They will have different options, different lessons, and then they will just click and start the lesson. And then you have like AI for practice. If I click on AI for practice, for instance, you will see here that you can just talk with Emma, you can generate role play, you can like work on oral training. Oops. My phone disappeared now. You still see my
Actually,
phone?
it's been, it was completely frozen and now we can see.
Okay, it's coming back, sorry. Yeah, live demo always, 1 second, it's coming again. Okay, do you see now?
Yes.
So I just clicked on AI for practice, so you can see talk with me, generate role play, work on your own training, correct me, etc. But if I click here on pick a course, actually you will see like we have connected a plugin inside this messaging app. So for instance, here you will have your courses, but you will have also your tracking tab, so you can see how many courses you've been doing, etc. What's kind of metrics in terms of communication, vocabulary, my activity, and then you have my class, which is connected to the teacher's dashboard, so you can see basically in what class you are. Here I'm not in any, and also the AI homework that has been crafted by your teacher and assign it to you in your messaging app. And this is exactly the same way we're doing on WhatsApp, for instance. So you can, for instance, here click on menu, and you can adapt. You can, for instance, click on my courses, mes cours, and then you will just like access to your plugin. So I click on my application, and you are redirected here. So we try to recreate basically an education app inside this messaging app and trying to add an education dimension into this. So for instance, if I click on a course here, préposition de lieu, for instance, I will be redirected to the chat and then I can start. Then a lesson, for instance, here, it knows that I actually started this lesson. Would you like to continue, restart, or go back to menu? For instance, here I will continue. And then you will see like actually it provides more than text. It will also like send me like images and audios, etc. And you will have like different kind of exercises, and I can answer that by text, for instance. Here I will say, but I can also like actually send voice messages, which are very used, and then it's exactly the same way it will adapt. And the feedback is, for instance, in English, but it can be in Korean, in Spanish, in Arabic, etc. Every time, like the bots try to stop in different moments. So, for instance, if I have a question, I just click on a question and I start talking with the AI assistant exactly on this specific lesson here. Can you give me more examples, etc.? If I understand, I just click on continue and I would go to the next question. I think this was more an assessment like than a lesson. So it changed like with different kind of exercises. For instance, here I listen. Et toi, Sofiane, ou habitué. So I'll say like, j'habite le Paris. Oops. J'habite le Paris. And then it will, of course, transcribe it. Transcribe it is a bit French. And then it will, of course, correct me according to my to my mistakes. We try to use some Socratic. I said j'habite le Paris, and actually it's j'habite la Paris, etc. We try to adapt it according to the level of assessment is different according to users to the question. Sometimes go to up to three levels like a Socratic questioning, but sometimes like for basic ones, we know that we need to keep students right in the chat and not exactly they like also to have like quick answers, especially when it's about like simple activities and assessment for beginners like this. So for instance here on habite à Londres. And then what is interesting, and I will just end up this lesson, is that at the end of the lesson, actually, you have you have KPIs, so the percentage of good answers, etc. So we try to combine LLM assessment with basically a real scoring, so quantity. So at the end, like user are just like, for instance, here, I don't know, no worries, etc. So it gives me also a card to actually to have better understanding of the lesson, etc. So for instance, here I click on my score. You will see like the percentage of good answers that I have on this lesson. But it also proposed me some reinforcement learning. So it doesn't stop here. You always have a reinforcement behind that. So for instance, if I click on revision, which means reviewing, like the AI will take here the lead and actually will propose different kind of exercises. So it goes from fill in the blank, multiple question, but also some like delf exams, delf exercise, which are like the official exams for French learning, etc., etc. So these are what we call chat-based courses. And etc. So as you can see here, you can like listen to the audio. So I listen, so actually the text, and then I can answer to the different question, etc. Anytime I want, of course, I can click on menu and come back and choose different kind of tools, for instance, like correct me, role play, my AI assignment for my teacher, or I can just like delete my account or choose another language. So beside that, you have you have the platform, and here, for instance, the platform that we have deployed, for the Sorbonne University in Abu Dhabi. And the idea here is that, as you can see exactly what I've been doing on the bot. So basically, you have some KPIs knowing exactly that I didn't did well on this and that, etc. And you have also some conversations. And here's the conversation. Actually, I allowed teacher to see them. And actually, when you see the conversation, actually it's from the prompt that you have assigned to your students. So for instance, here you have two kind of AI tools for teachers to create. So you can create some exercises, or you can create also some role play. Once you have created them and tested them on the platform, you can just go to your class that you have created here too. I will show you how it works, just to explain you how the looping work. I know them somewhere here. I will notification, so you can see like the different courses, the AI tools, and the homework that I've been actually crafting. So then I can just like send it to the student, and then once it's sent, I have a notification by mail, of course, and also in the bot. So I will show you how it works. So Sufyan has sent me exactly this, and then I go to my homework, and actually it's here, and then I just have to click to start.
Well, we can see your phone now.
Ah, okay. Anyways. So yeah, I just, you see it now?
Not yet.
Okay, but just to show you that actually you can start working on the homework that the teacher did on the platform inside your listening app, and then the teacher can see what you've been doing. That's it. If you have any question, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Sufyan. I see there are a couple of questions from our participants, some comments as well. Before we get into that, I would like to kick it off with one question. So I'm a bit curious. You explained a little bit as well. Why focusing on existing tools? And what was the key motivation? Like, do you have a story behind it that you would like to elaborate on?
Yeah, well, I think that's what Sofiane kind of explained at the beginning, we were
yeah.
working on the ground in Ethiopia, and one of the big challenge was really how to reach people, and especially in this kind of very low tech, low resources environment. So, and this is really how we came up with the idea to use that kind of existing channel, the messaging apps, because it's super common and everyone knows how to use it, and it doesn't use a lot of data. So this was the main idea. And we started with Messenger and then to WhatsApp, and now we're working on Telegram. So step by step.
And so there are, we have certain countries where social media apps or social media platforms are banned in a way for students, right? So how do you see our teachers overcoming that challenge if they, let's say, want to use this tool? Is there any solutions in place, or do you have any, insights? No. This is Sufyan nodding his head.
No, because we know actually the limit, and in certain contexts it doesn't work. To give an example, once we were about launching in Uganda, with different schools of a district of Kampala, but then actually the government banned social media, so we actually didn't launch. And we know actually our specificity. We know that actually it's not for everybody, but for those who actually have problem to reach students, for those who also wants to provide a different way, because we know that once you are on this social media, you also try to change their habits. Like, it's not just about like scrolling and watching like useless videos, but you also try to provide something useful and impactful in their own space. So for those who can do it, for those who have the possibilities of, let's say, the political guidelines that allows you to do that, it can be a great value.
Thank you. And just a comment, I like that you were using existing tools like that, because I think in many countries where in terms of digital infrastructure, it's not there yet, but these tools are used by, a broad number of users. So it's very accessible. So I think for that, I think for some of the countries that we work with, I think teachers, they will find it very useful and accessible. Let's see what type of questions we have from our teachers. I think it's Mike again. I see a lot of comments, but not many questions. Can I invite our participants? We have time, both from Asia and Europe. Perhaps those who have not spoken yet, please take the floor and ask any questions that you may have for our speakers. I think when other colleagues are preparing their questions, Mike, it's okay if you have a burning questions, please feel free to ask.
I guess I see this as quite, we'll turn the camera on. This is actually quite a useful tool for those countries that may not have a developed kind of IT infrastructure. So I was trying to work for an organization in Nigeria, for example. And what do you see the utility for the areas with low IT coverage?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, we are working currently with different NGOs like the International Rescue Committee, etc., in Northeast Nigeria. And we adapt this solution to, for instance, for teacher training, exactly in places where internet equal social media equal listening apps and nothing else. Like, there is no browser, there is no access to LMS, etc. So then turning these messaging apps into a channel for learning opportunities is very relevant. But what I wanted to emphasize is I think messaging app is the first step, then what you do inside. And I think we have also a very different approach of how we turn this messaging app into virtual classroom, because you have like different opportunities. You can work through chat-based courses that I showed you, but you can also work autonomously. And this, we made like a lot of research. Like first, for instance, we started with an AI tutor, but AI tutoring is also like students needs to know what to request. Yeah, needs to know what basically are their weaknesses, etc. So it was not working that well. So that's why we're trying to compensate that AI tutoring, like ask any question you want. How can I help you today? And then AI will provide that with also a proactive bot that actually is not asking you how can I help you, but is telling you like, okay, today we're going to learn this and then go to the next step, etc. So we have these different ways of learning that actually are quite interesting for learners.
And you're right, Mike, about Rwanda. For example, we're about to launch a project in Rwanda to train farmers. So as you can see, it's really in a hard to reach context, and the big strength, the great strength of the solution is really to reach those people. So, but also the AI pedagogy and so on.
We have
Très bon. Merci beaucoup.
De rien.
Thank you. We have a question from Michelle from Ireland. She wants to know, can you input your own data for the tool to draw on?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Actually, this is the first version of the platform we showed you, but actually the second one is about you can upload your own documents. What we usually do actually is before deploying any bot and platform, we actually work from your curriculum. So you gather your documents. It can be PDF. Sometimes it's just like simple Word, depending of how the school or teacher have developed their own materials, and then we tune the bot according to your topics and curriculum. Yeah.
Thank you. I have another question. So, from the perspective of inclusion and digital divide, it's very clear that you are solving a problem and supporting educators in certain areas where accessibility is a huge issue. Let's say if participants from background where accessibility is not an issue and they would like to use this tool, what would be your advice to use this tool innovatively? And if you could elaborate on those insights so that our participants know if they want to consider this in designing their innovative teaching practice, those are the steps that they can take.
Sure. Well, actually, to be honest, we're also working in Australia, in the Emirates, in Europe. So definitely there are not IT issues in these areas. So, well, I would say the first reason that pushed this institution to partner with us is really about how the engagement that this kind of solution can allow with you're really learning and teaching differently because you're on your messaging apps, and it's like you can get confidence because you have your AI tutor right in your pocket and it's not going to judge you. It's available all the time. But also it's not just a free GPT, for example. It's really like with a path to follow. And in addition, you can ask if you have other questions, you can practice on demand and so on. And also you have your teacher in the loop. So for an institution, it's really valuable because it's not only for learners, it's not only for teachers, it's like one in a tool. So
thank you. Yes, we don't have any other questions. So I think with that, thank you so much for your time and for sharing the insights about Three Dots Education. And hopefully our teachers will find it useful. And then if any of them use it in their ITP, we'll keep you posted. And again, thank you so much. Now with that, let me share my screen again and then see if you have any idea about where. So it's about our next update. So any idea if you can type in the chat box where this plays? I think some of you already have idea and the update we want to share. We know you have been waiting for it for a very long time. And we are very excited and happy that today we can share this. So any idea, you can type in the chat box. Okay, Slovenia. Anyone else? Natalie, have you ever been to Slovenia? And Arno as well.
I absolutely have not.
Did you just Google the image?
I remember it being mentioned as a possibility, and then in that session, there was someone from Slovenia in our group. So it was really lovely, and that's why I remember it.
Okay, you got it right. Okay, so for everyone's reference now, we are going to Maribor, Slovenia for our conference. So we are very excited. We have a lovely school hosting us and lovely colleagues from this school. We cannot wait to share more information with you. But for now, please pencil this down in your calendar. The conference will be from 6 to 10 October. That's pretty much confirmed, but if anything changes at all, of course, we will let you know as soon as possible. And Maribor is the second largest city in Slovenia, and it's a beautiful city. So we are very excited to bring you there. A couple of practical aspects related to this. As you know, this is a very participation and performance-driven program, and we will not be able to invite everyone, but we are trying our best to have as many of you as possible, going to this conference. So all the tasks that you have, whether it's individual, team, it's very important that you do it and submit it on time, because those contribute to your scores in terms of getting invited for the conference. So you have completed 2 individual assignment now, and then we will have 1 team assignment, which we will introduce you very soon. So you'll be having 1 team assignment, and that's it. And your active participation during all the sessions, which we already have been keeping track of. So our goal is to invite you by end of June, potentially by the first early days of the last week of June. And then it's a little bit time sensitive, because in Slovenia, I think those of you who joined a couple of years ago, it takes some time. So our goal is to ensure all the visa documents and invitations from our host site ready by the date that's most suitable for ensuring all the practical arrangements. So for now, we have to share the list with our school by 7th of July. At the moment, that's the date. So please look out for emails so that we can, you are aware of what you need to do, and then we can also share more information with you. One key aspect of this is you will have to complete a travel form. That's very crucial. It also depends, it gives us the information about whether you can come to the conference or not as well. So that's very, very important. We will send that to you soon. So for now, it's Maribor, Slovenia, 6 to 10 October. And now, as you can see from this slide, we have updated the time for the conference. So here, this year was a bit unusual. We had to reschedule 1 thematic webinar, and we had 1 team learning session before it. And we really appreciate your flexibility for that. So we will have Professor Mutlu Chukuruba, who is also the author of the UNESCO AI Competency Framework from University College London for this. And please note the time has changed, and the timing is from 7:30 Singapore time, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. So we usually have our sessions from 4 to 5, but this is 1 hour 30 minutes later than that. We already updated this in our e-learning platform. If you have your own calendar where you maintain this, please update this as soon as possible so that you don't miss out. And I have a quick note from Angie. Angie, would you like to emphasize on this?
No, I just want to say, whoever has a valid passport, please make sure you have a valid passport that can travel by October, at least 6 months before. And also those who did not have a passport may consider applying for one before you're selected. Just in case you're selected, and then you can just immediately apply for Schengen visa. For the Europeans, yeah, okay, you're fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Angie, for highlighting this important part. Yes, so it applies mainly to our Asian participants and those especially who needs visa to Slovenia. Please make sure that you are aware of this and you are preparing accordingly. And with that, please review the recording of all the demos of today's EdTech tools. And hopefully, if you have any questions, if you want to use some of these tools, let us know. We will share the PowerPoint slides as well from our speakers, and there you will have more information about today's demos and information. So that's it for today. Let's see if we have any questions, because we did promise that we will, for today's session, beyond the EdTech tool introduction, we will pause here for a few minutes to see if we can support you any better. Any questions that you have about the next steps, the program, or anything at all, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can take a couple of questions if you have.
Can I just ask a quick question about the conference?
Yes, absolutely.
So obviously the dates for that fall in the middle of the teaching calendar. So I don't know how relevant this is for everybody else, but it might be difficult to get 5 full days off from school in the middle of the calendar. So I'm just wondering whether attendance is mandatory for all 5 days or what the expectation is there.
Yes, that's a very good question. And we are sorry that it's taking place around that time because we really tried our best to have a date that works for everybody. But, we are doing it in partnership with multiple organizations. And also, we did try to avoid the summer holidays because, it doesn't really work for all the teachers. So I'm sorry that unfortunately this is the date. However, what we can do is we can write a letter, a support letter to your principal or to your, relevant stakeholders who will make this decision to allow you to come to the participants. In this case, you will be able to indicate that in the travel form. So in the travel form, we will ask these questions if you need this letter, right? So there will be 2 optional days before and after. We are still working on the overview of the program for the on-site phase. We will share this with you once we know more. But you might be able to leave 1 day earlier. If you, let's say there will be some optional, we always have some optional elements like, taking part in a tour to get to know the local culture better or local, institutions better through a study visit. So you will see where we park them, and then you can shorten your trip. However, to make the best out of the full program, because it's not just about your learning, it's about your friendship, building that community. We highly encourage you to be there for the whole period of the conference. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Any other questions? Anything else? If not, then thank you so much for for being here, live and for asking all these relevant questions and also for actively participating. We really appreciate that. And we are excited to see you for next session. And with that, have a lovely day in Europe and have a lovely evening in New Zealand and Australia, and a lovely afternoon in rest of Asia. Thank you so much.
Sorry, there's a question in the chat box.
Yes, of course.
When will we get to know our groups from G2 from India? I think it's in 2 weeks, right?
Yes, so our goal is to share this information with you before you get into this team learning phase, independent team learning phase. So we have 1 more team learning session, and you'll know this by this date. So for those of you on that, some of you still have not submitted the 2 exercise. So that are important as well, because we work with a lot of metrics in terms of allocating teams and this and that, Asia-Europe balance and your active engagement. So please, if you have not submitted them, we are still allowing submit your exercise. Yeah. Any other questions? We are happy to stay here a bit longer. Okay, no questions. Let me see if any of you are raising hands. Okay, that's no more hands either. Okay, in that case, take care and then see you during next session.